It lies deep within your heart.
And the polish of the heart is the dhikr of Allah.
Wallah, he looked at his grave. He actually stood there and said, is there another funeral? Only for that grave to be written for him 2 days later.
بهية السناء وعذبة الجنان قدسية نقية أضاءت الدنا شهورا 9 والشوق بيننا.
Men deal with pain by getting busy, bro. We get busy, we get active, we put our head down. And the more you can build that muscle of going through a revival in your life after pain, is the more successful you will be in dealing and coping with hardship. You with me?
Well, my brothers and sisters, subhanAllah, I had to walk out before. Sheikh Wa'il jumped in my spot, my Allah rode him. I had to attend to a funeral. Someone had just passed away. This is a normal, common thing I deal with every day of my life. I could be sitting at a dinner, at the movies, amongst friends, the phone will ring and people will see me just walk away, and when I come back they'll say to me, who died? And they normally get the news before anyone. This is how quick death comes. SubhanAllah, tomorrow's a Friday, a blessed Friday. I love Fridays. I love funerals on Fridays. I'm so looking forward to the funerals tomorrow. We may have some extra guests with us who are going to attend for the washing. And, you know, and this is the job I do every day for my community. And obviously, it's a job that I'm blessed to do. I took on the blessings and I took on the baton after the old man that used to do it for 30 years passed on. Before that, I was more associated with the graveyard and with actually digging holes and burying people. Now it's everything from A to Z. Allah, my brothers and sisters, as our brother read in Maghrib prayer, كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ ثُمَّ إِلَيْنَا تُرْجَعُونَ, every single soul will taste death. You know, and whenever I hear that ayah, I say to myself, ذَائِقَةُ. You know, ذَائِقَةُ is the taste. You know, have we ever pondered what that taste will be like? We have taste buds in our mouths, on our tongues, and everything we eat every day has a taste. Sometimes it's sour, sometimes it's sweet, sometimes it's bland, and sometimes it's just ugly. What will our death be like? Will our death be sweet or will it be bitter? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all a sweet death, a death that is honorable and a death that is blessed and that is worthy of a true believer. Because, you know, death is around the corner for every single one of us. Wallah, my brothers and sisters, I want you just to imagine the thought that your date of death is tomorrow, whatever the date is. And those angels descend with your shroud, with your perfume, and they wait for you in the place where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained and decreed for your soul to be taken out. And you will go to that place, whether it's out in the middle of the sea, whether it's in the middle of a shopping center, or whether it's in the masjid at a certain prayer. The time of death is ordained in the place and the location. So it's very important to be wary of our actions and where we are every day of our life and what we are doing, because death could be waiting for us at that moment. So I want you to imagine that thought, that tomorrow is your date with death, and obviously you do not know it's going to happen, because nobody knows they're going to die. People that get sick have an idea they're going to die, but nobody truly knows the exact time of death. We get so many calls from brothers and sisters for family members that are passing away, and they'll say to me, brother, the hospital said to organize their funeral. I say to them, brother, is he still alive? They say yes. I said, call me back when Allah takes his soul. Oh, but they said organize it now. I said, there's nothing to organize, brother. They do not know when you're going to die. Nobody knows when you're going to die. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained the time and the place. And some of these people end up lasting another hour, another day, and some another month, and some actually go for years. So nobody knows, my brothers. Nobody knows, my sisters, when our time of death is. So my brothers, I want you to imagine that thought, that your day of death has come. I want you to question and think to yourself, where will you be? What will you be doing? And this is where it comes to the accountability fact of the way you die is the way you'll be resurrected. In what state will you die in? In what state would the angel of death take your soul? And in what state will you wake up on the day of resurrection? Will you be mucking around? Will you be bullying someone? Will you be engaging in talk that is not Islamic, slandering? Or will you be in a state of ibadah, dhikr, prayer, Ramadan, and all the other good attributes? And that all comes back to every single one of us individually. Well, my brothers and sisters, every day that phone rings and sends me messages, the first thing I do is I go into the information, the jot form, and I go into the picture of the deceased. And I ponder at the picture. Today, in the morning, around 10 o'clock, I got the message that a brother had passed away. When I saw the name is very familiar, Omar. It's a surname that is very familiar in our Muslim community. When I went into the identification part and I looked at his license, I knew him. I said, oh my God, that is a person I've seen before. I couldn't remember where, but I've seen him. When I looked at his next of kin and I saw the names of his children, then I said, my God, one of his sons was my friend for a long, long time. This man used to sell us bread from the local shop. And subhanAllah, I mentioned him to one of the brothers here and he remembered him clearly. And he said, oh my God, did he pass away? This is how quick your news comes. Tomorrow we will give him his last rites. I call it always the last rites. His haqq is to be washed, shrouded, prayed upon, and then we'll bury him, inshallah, after prayers. And every single day, whether it's 1 or 5 funerals, it's the same process. Just a different name, a different soul, a different family, but death is one. The reasons vary, but death is one at the end. Whether they died of cancer or they died, riding a bike and being run over, death is one at the end. Allah will bring you back, all the same. It's called death. So tomorrow, subhanAllah, I will go and wash this man. And already I am thinking, I'm taking you into my life for a moment. I'm already anticipating that I'm going to see this man again for the last time. And I'm already imagining the thoughts of this guy who used to sell us bread, who my mum used to stop the car. She used to go, Nzel, jib khabaz wal rujaa. And I used to come down, get the bread, go back in the car, and we'd take off home. And subhanAllah, I would never have thought back then that today, 25 years later, I will be washing this man. My brothers and sisters, we do not know. Not one of us knows what Allah has in store for us. Whether we make it to tomorrow, next year, next decade, next century, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. All we know is that we will die and we must prepare for it. As the Prophet ﷺ said, the best, the smartest among you is the one that prepares for death, the one that thinks of death a lot and prepares for it. You know, the society we live in, the culture we live in, when you talk about death, people don't want to hear about it. We're not trying to scare people with death. Death is not meant to scare us. Death is meant to be a prize for the believer. Because the believer who prohibits his life from the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited and lives an Islamic life and sticks by the rules, just like you guys at uni. You study hard, you go to your lectures, you pull the extra yard. When you do your exams, you're anticipating your results to see what marks you got because you want your results, you want your prize. And the same for a believer. 20, 30, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years on this earth. The lady we buried today was 92 years old. 92 years old. The one before her was 33 years old. That's a big difference. That's nearly 3 times. Who prayed more? Who prayed more? The 190 obviously had more time to pray. She probably had more prayers up her sleeves. She would have endured more pain. Her body would have been more aching, getting up for Fajr every single day. There's no excuse, but you got to pray Fajr every day. It doesn't get easier, it gets harder as you get older. You guys are still young. You'll realize as you get older, lifting your leg up to the sink to wash your feet is not easy. It gets hard. So subhanAllah, the believer wants his prize. And his prize is death, because that's how he gets to his prize, by getting to Allah and meeting Allah and inshallah entering the Jannah of Allah. You guys are the future generations. You boys and girls are going to be the leaders of our community. Inshallah, Ya Rab, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestows the mercy upon us all, because without the mercy we have nothing. SubhanAllah, every death I hear about, I'm associated with, I'm a part of. I always think to myself, no matter what this man has done in his life or this woman, and some people, I hear so much attributes, what they've done, whether it's feeding the poor, whether they've built mosques, whether they've given everything they have to the needy, whether they've done 20 Hajj. The other day I had a guy who's done about 20 Hajj and about 37 Umrahs. And they were telling me how many Umrahs and Hajjs he did. And I thought to myself, wow, every time he went to Hajj, he didn't know if he was going to make it to the next one. And I thought to myself, at the end, he's deceased now. And he'll only enter paradise by the mercy of Allah. Nothing but the mercy of Allah will enter us into paradise. None of our deeds. Our deeds will equate to nothing on the scales compared to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us in blessings. Just our heart that beats 124,000 times a day is enough blessing for us to say, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Let alone, I remember a couple of years ago, I had kidney failure and I was on dialysis. And I used to go to the hospital 3 days a week. And I used to sit in the hospital between 8 to 10 hours at a time. So I've lost 3 days a week. And I used to get hooked up to a machine that was called the dialysis machine. So I used to filter my blood. And when I said to the specialist, Dr. Such and such, tell me, this machine, this big machine that's running, massively turning my blood over, what's it doing for me? Like how much percentage is it giving me in kidney function? He looked at me, he goes, about 10 to 12%. I said, 10 to 12%? I said, so when you've got 2 healthy kidneys, you've got 100%? He goes, yeah. He goes, but you don't have 2 healthy kidneys. That machine's giving you 12%. I thought, subhanAllah, look at the blessings of Allah. Just to have 2 kidneys functioning by themselves, working by themselves at 100%. What a blessing. You don't need to be hooked up to a machine. You know how many people are hooked up to machines in their life? You know how many people have eyes can't see, noses they can't smell, ears they can't hear? These are blessings that we have. Wallah, these are blessings. And these blessings can be taken away so quickly. And the ultimate blessing is life. The ultimate blessing is life. Allah has given you life today. Will you see tomorrow? I don't know. I don't know if I'll see tomorrow. I don't know if, some of these boys will leave today and get into a car accident and tomorrow we hear your news. And it's like everybody else. The message goes up on WhatsApp. Yeah, did you hear such and such died? And the messages start going around. And then your photo goes around to prove, is that the guy? Yeah, that's him. And you look at the photo, go, I know that guy, man. Far out, is he dead? And for a day or two, we're a little bit shaken up. He died. Allahu Akbar. Especially if you've just met the guy again or you've had some sort of business with him or gathering or acquaintance. It hits you even more. And then all of a sudden, a week later, nobody even mentions that guy. You're not the flavor of the day anymore. They move on. That's how quick you're forgotten. I see it every day at the cemetery. Every day when the next grave, tomorrow when I put that man on the last grave of that row, he becomes the last mound. When you walk away, you'll see that mound. It's the last one. But you come back a week later, you don't know where that is anymore. There's more and more mounds. There's more and more graves that have followed him. So don't think we are something on this earth. Don't think that you are something that, you know what, man, I'm special, I'm this. None of us are special. We're only gifted that we're Muslims. We're only blessed that we're Muslims. But special, no one here should have an atom's weight of pride in them. Because when I see that pride go, when I bury somebody who was so-called hectic in his life, a gangster, shot 30 times, a guy who had all this money, a guy the other day worth $250 million I buried, his sons didn't even know how to pray janazah for him. On the earth, you couldn't talk to him. Not long ago, I pointed at a grave. I said, boys, see that grave there? That guy was a big shot barrister. If you wanted to make business and talk to him, if you wanted to just get his advice, he'll tell you, put $10,000 in my account, send me the receipt. When I see the receipt, I'll take your phone call. Where is he now? I pointed to the grave. I said, that's his grave right there near the fence, where the railway line is. I've never seen one person visit him. What would he be asking for now? Would he be saying, give me the $10,000, I still want it? Or would he be saying, please make the halt for me? My brothers and sisters, don't sell yourself short in this world. Realize this world is fleeting. It's going. It's moving fast. We're only travelers. We're going to be here for a short while. A very, very, very short while. Wallah, a very short while. SubhanAllah, the retreat we went to, I remember, SubhanAllah, Brother Jalal here, SubhanAllah, you don't mind me saying the story? Brother Jalal was on the first time I meet this boy, this kid, this young man. I did a funeral about 22 years ago for a man called Muhammad Kamaluddin. Kamoon. 33 years old. That was his father. I didn't know that. SubhanAllah, I remember his funeral because when I buried him, he died in Ramadan. And he died, I remember his story. He had a sickness he didn't tell anyone. He kept it pretty secret. And his mum, and they were young kids, went to the markets that day on a Saturday. They came back and his father had passed away. When I done his dad's funeral, I remember it was Ramadan, I was the grave digger. I dug the grave, I buried his dad. I did not take notice of anything. I moved the machine. As everyone started to leave, I started to dig another grave. Right after his dad's funeral. And as I was digging that grave, a man came up to me. And this man, he towered, mashallah, he was as tall as our brother right here. Our brother up the back there, Allahumma barik. I'm in an excavator and he's up my height. And I looked at him, mashallah, he shadowed me. And he said to me, this was his words, is there another funeral? I said, no, it's just a spare grave. Because it was Ramadan, so I used to dig him spare. 2 days passed. And I remember it rained. And I used to just cover the graves with a timber. And I got a phone call saying, go dig a grave and make it tall. This guy's tall. I didn't even think twice. I went there, I cleaned the grave out from the mud, and I waited. Funeral came, I jumped in the grave, I put this man down, and our graves are 2 meters long. This man was taller than 2 meters. So I had to bend his legs. And I remember saying I had to banana him to the people. So I bent his legs, I put him in there, I buried him, I put the dirt on top, I put the plate on, and I remember the name said Ali, 41 years old. Didn't take notice. Left, came back next morning early to dig another grave. When I used to come back and dig in the mornings, I would see the family members at the grave from the day before always. And they go there early, it's quiet. And this lady was on the grave. So I turned the machine off for respect, and I love to question them and ask them questions. What did he say? What did he do? What did he see? You know, these are all inquisitive things I used to be fascinated with. She said to me, you wouldn't believe it. He was here just a couple of days ago for a funeral. I said, for Kamoon? For Kamoon? She goes, yeah. I said, oh. I go, and why? She goes, what happened? She goes, he was here and he went home and slept. I said to her, he was here? I go, was he tall? She goes to me, no, actually she goes to me, he was with 2 guys. And I remember he had 2 guys with him. He stood, 2 guys walked down and they called out, Ali, Ali. And he ran to them and no, let's go. And she said to me that he had 2 friends with him. And she said to me, he had a leather jacket on. And I remember this guy had a leather jacket on. And I said to her, he had a leather jacket on. She goes, that's his favorite jacket. I said to her, how did he die? She said, he went to sleep and never woke up. SubhanAllah, I looked at the name and I said, Ali. And I straight away said, that's her. I couldn't tell her that he stood here and looked at his grave. He looked at, Wallah, he looked at his grave. He actually stood there and said, is there another funeral? Only for that grave to be written for him 2 days later, to be put into it. And SubhanAllah, what's so significant about this story is not just that he saw his grave, not thinking he's going to die at the age of 41, go to sleep and not wake up. But it was the day that I buried Jalal's father. And when Jalal came to me at the retreat and told me his surname, I said to him, are you related to the guy that died on the motorbike? He goes, that's my uncle. I go, he was visiting his dad because your uncle, his uncle Mahmoud, I remember he was a dark guy, he had funny teeth. He started to come to the cemetery after his brother died, his uncle. And he was on a motorbike, and I said to him, don't ride a motorbike, brother, it's dangerous. Dangerous, I'm the one riding motorbike. And I remember one day I'm at the cemetery as I was leaving from inside the cemetery, his uncle, Allah yarhamu, Mahmoud, had an accident in the cemetery. He hit the tree at the end of the street. Actually in the cemetery, he crashed his motorbike in the cemetery. He was laying there dead in his black leather jacket. And I didn't know it was him. And being back then, I wanted to go to a gym and 5 o'clock curfew, need to be in the gym. I didn't want to stop, so I didn't have to give evidence. I kept driving. I looked from my truck and I kept going. Only to find out the next day, or actually a couple of days later, because he went to the coroner, that I actually buried him. Not far from his brother, subhanAllah. You know, my brothers and sisters, the moral of these stories is we do not know what Allah has written for us down the track. Whether you're 10 years old, whether you guys are 20 years old, 30, 40 years old, it doesn't matter, my brothers and sisters. I've had people who are going back home, picking up their kids from school, 3 young kids in a car. She missed the turnoff for the freeway, needed to take it suddenly, got collected by a truck. The mum and the 3 kids are dead, or 4 kids actually dead, all laying on stretchers. You should see the sight when the father comes in. And I'm talking young fathers. These are guys in their 20s, losing a whole family. Imagine today, you're married with 3, 4 kids, your house is bustling with noise, and there's all movement going on, and the next day you've lost your whole family. Allahu Akbar. And this is what our brothers and sisters in Gaza, in Lebanon, are enduring every single day. When we cop it here, it's something big that can't be forgotten. When they get it over there, it's normal now. And this is why, my brothers and sisters, the dua should never stop. Whether you're dying there or dying here, at the end of the day, death is one. My brothers and sisters, wallah, I'll tell you something and I'll give you this advice. Do not lose hope in Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no matter what He takes us through, whatever calamities He takes us through, He loves us. He has something better for us. I got on a motorbike 3 weeks ago to save time, just to save time, so I can go do my washing of deceased. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala moved the hafadah, the angels that protect you for that day, and declared His decree to come down on me. And that caused me to come off my bike with a flat tire, and I ended up in hospital. 6 ribs broken, hamda rabbil alameen. I didn't lose hope in Allah. I was still making my tasbih, my shahadas, and I said, oh Allah, if you never want me to walk again, so be it. I just miss doing what I do. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, not even a week later, I'm walking again. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us all safe, to give us what's good for us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you all, bless you. And you know, one thing I want to leave at the end is please be merciful to one of each other. Be merciful to each other, forgive each other. Because if you expect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you and have mercy on you, then learn to forgive and have mercy on your brothers, your friends, your family, because that's where it all starts. Because in that grave, there's nothing called bring me back. There's nothing called regrets. Regrets won't exist in the grave. The living have regrets, not the dead. It's too late for the dead. You will wake up in the grave. You will wake up in the grave and you will realize you're dead. There's no coming back, my brothers and sisters. SubhanAllah. So if you want that grave to be a grave of paradise, furnished with the furnishings of paradise, then work for it in this world. And don't think that, oh, only old people die and I still have a long time to go. I'm the first to dispute that. So much more young people are dying these days. It baffles me. 25-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds dropping dead from heart attacks for no reason. I read the coroner's reports. Unknown, unknown, unknown. They don't even know why they died. SubhanAllah. They can't even put a reason. This is science, can't put a reason to it. You know, my brothers and sisters, SubhanAllah, any of you suffering, feeling down, feeling like you need help, turn to your brothers and sisters, my brothers and sisters, because we're here to help each other. We're here to lift each other. There should never be an option of suicide. There never should. You know what kills me the most? When I have to bury someone who's 20, 21, 22, just completed a PhD or just completed uni, got everything going for him, and takes his own life away. And you find out the reasons why. Pathetic reasons, silly reasons, reasons that every single one of us here could have stopped. But we're too engulfed in our lives. The true believer loves for his brother what he loves for himself. You love a good life, love that for your brother too. So ask about his well-being, ask about how he's doing, because wallah, these are the only things that will benefit us when we leave the earth. May Allah reward you and bless you, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.